Welcome to the Beyond the Burst podcast, your weekly deep dive into
the gear that shapes the sounds.
We're your hosts,
Dave Lozon
and Sean Finkler from Lozon Music in Canada. Each week, we'll be looking at the most exciting guitars, pedals, amps, and studio gear that crosses our path. Plus, real talk about the music industry and the stories behind the gear. Whether you're a bedroom shredder, touring pro, or gear nerd, just like us, you're in the right place. But innovation is important in every industry that's going to thrive and survive. And that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at guitars that have been innovative and broken the mold, for better or worse. Some of these are things that we're a big fan of, and some of them are, guitars that came and went in for the better.
Sure. I mean, there's a large part of the guitar demographic that isn't interested in innovation at all, unless it's the innovation that happened between 1950 and 1960.
Right.
That's kind of it. Maybe, up until the mid-60s, but then they're checked out, right? They don't want anything to do with innovation. But that doesn't mean that innovation stops for them, because there's always companies and individual builders and sharp minds coming up with ways to push the envelope. But there are ways to, modify what that device can do, right?
For
From
sure.
all kinds of different little tweaks and add-on things, and then that device becomes a little more niche, or you can do a different sound that wasn't possible before. So we'll look at some of those today.
So we won't be talking about any of the guitars between 1950 and 1960. We know that was an innovative period. We've all heard so much about those guitars, Les Paul, Strat, Tellys. We're just going to kind of skip over that and keep going beyond that. Let's assume we know that those are all innovative instruments because they're kind of the first of something very special in the electric guitar world. But we're going to go past that, and we're going to look at more modern in the sense of 60s on. We should start with one of the most innovative acoustic guitar companies out there, Taylor Guitars.
Definitely one of the most innovative. I mean, from the guitar standpoint, yes. Also, guitar manufacturing standpoint, they've changed things, the way things are built.
Right.
The automation used, the machinery used, designed a lot of the machines specifically to make instruments, and those have been adopted by a lot of other companies as well.
That's true. They've really been at the forefront of that, designing their own pickups, making their own pickup system. And as far as manufacturing and the culture of Taylor too, they were doing things I think that no other company was doing too. Having a masseuse on staff, and just the culture of what they were doing, and being employee owned too, right?
Right. So you're saying like that kind of California, Silicon Valley type experience is a little different than the catacombs of Montana or whatever.
I think it's a much different experience. And it's a different type of, maybe a profile of a worker too, But Taylor has always been good at pushing the boundaries. I'm thinking of their neck system, which came out, was that late 90s, the first
1999. It was midway through 99, the NT neck came out.
It's here, and we like it. Yeah, it was, that's a pretty innovative system. So it's a bolt-on neck. There's a shim system. So the problem they're trying to address with that is being able to do a neck reset quickly and efficiently. It's not going to be extremely expensive, so you can get potentially better action. You can adjust the gauge of strings. You can do different setups. It allows you to do quite a few things.
Sure, yeah. You can change the pitch of the neck on an acoustic guitar.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
So that was new. I mean, you think about traditional design, like a dovetail. That's a destructive operation when you need to do a neck reset on it. You've got to steam the neck off. You've got to
remove that
break this
fret.
joint. But so this really was a game changer for building a guitar that could maintain its excellent playability for a lifetime.
Now, before that point, the Taylors, they've always been bolt-on neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that in itself is a very non-traditional way to make an acoustic guitar, right? They kind of pushed that boundary. I don't think they were the first ones to do a bolt-on acoustic neck, but that was certainly in the DNA of Taylor.
Right. And I remember, at the time, in the late 90s, there was like a lot of controversy about this kind of thing amongst players.
Right.
So back to, some of the people that are, certain traditionalists, let's say, of fans of a certain era and kind of, that's the way it is, always was, it's the way it'll be.
Right. You can't change it.
Can't
Don't
change
screw
it.
tradition.
But people would complain about, well, it's, the wood on wood joint. But the Taylor, like that NT neck there's a lot of wood on wood joint contact. It's just not, it's not high glued on. And I mean, these things do sound different. But there was a lot of resistance to the idea. But I think, as far as owning an instrument and it like being able to maintain that sort of
perfect
level
action.
of playability over time, that kind of won out.
Right.
In terms of public opinion.
Well, even with set neck acoustics, I mean, some of those guitars have gaps between the body and
that's right.
The where the heel joins and everything. So their argument is that this is potentially a tighter connection of the neck and the body.
Potentially. You never know what's going on in some of those like dovetail or whatever neck attachments. Like how much wood is wood on wood contact? Is there just like is there a wall of glue holding this thing together?
Yeah. Another really disruptive instrument for Taylor was the Taylor T5. This is one of the first successful hybrid acoustic electric guitars that was ever made.
Yeah, it's successful or like globally successful. I mean, Taylor's been always very good with their marketing, but also just explaining it to people. I mean, I think what I think of when I think of acoustic hybrid before that was like the Godin acoustic caster.
I did leave that off the list, but I guess there's an honorable mention there.
Yeah.
They did some things.
Yeah. But it didn't that was more of like an acoustic. It just looked like an electric guitar, but it was like more of a plug-in acoustic. So the original, the T5, had the body sensor.
Yeah.
And it had that like lipstick looking, which was a humbucking pickup.
Okay.
And then it had another humbucking pickup
underneath the fingerboard. Wasn't there a pickup
underneath the fingerboard?
Okay.
So the combination of those three pickups, was give you the five sounds.
Right.
Kind of is a no man's land guitar, as to a certain extent. It's more of, I think, when I kind of wrapped my head around it, the cleanest way was just thinking of it as its own thing rather than, here's the electric, here's the acoustic. Don't think of it like that. Like it's own, it's occupying its own space, which is cool. And I think the guitar became cooler to me when I sort of grasped it like that.
Instead of the one guitar to bring to a gig and you're doing acoustic stuff and you're doing electric stuff.
Yeah.
And it sounds decent in both, but it's not the sound of either guitar, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's its own thing. That. But what a neck.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
One of the most pleasant necks to play.
Yeah. Still unbelievable.
Now, a successor to that, they did the T5Z, which is a smaller body, or T5Z, smaller body version of that guitar, which was successful for a bit too. Now, the next step, some would argue, and I'm thinking of one specific person, would argue that the Fender Acoustasonic was the next step of the Taylor T5, because I think we got that pitch.
I think we did get that pitch. I think somebody that used to work at Taylor kind of brought the T5 concept to Fender for that. Yeah. I mean, it's not like the concept wasn't out there.
Right.
For the Acoustasonic, which is another interesting guitar.
Now, can you gauge the success of a model by how quick they produce them overseas or in Mexico? Like, the faster they move to an overseas model or a Mexican-made model or, kind of a second-tier version of the guitar, I wonder if that's an indication of success of an instrument.
Would you say success, or would you say like that we got to scramble because no one's buying them at this price? We got to quickly make them for half the price and the same thing.
It's an interesting
I don't
topic.
know.
I don't either.
I think the when those came out, like the nice ones, were pretty popular for a while. We had a little run on those.
Yeah, they were.
I don't think there's any interest anymore.
No, it dropped. It was strong release. Again, another company who's really good at marketing. Very strong release. Great first year, I think, and then the interest did drop. And they've made more economical versions since. And
I think
same kind of thing, like you said. Like it's, is this a guitar that's going to replace your acoustic? Probably not. Is it going to replace your electric? No. But, you know, you can use nickel strings. You can use, you know, classic bronze acoustic strings.
Yeah.
It's a different tonality, but it's not going to do either thing better than an acoustic or an electric.
No. But a good couch guitar.
Great,
Both those
one of
things.
the best.
Great couch guitars. Can't beat it. Because, you know, it's quiet enough that you're not, you know, disturbing everything while you're playing.
Right.
But I guess, you know, any semi-hollow or whatever is pretty good for that.
For sure. Another innovative guitar from Fender. And this is going back, probably the oldest
Going back
guitar.
to the 60s.
Going back to the 60s.
That one weren't going here.
Well, I said 50. What did I say? I did say 60s, but the Bass 6, 1961. Interesting instrument. Kind of sat between where a guitar and a bass was.
Yeah, I feel like we're occupying a lot of no man's land here. That's like the guitars that we're talking about are all kind of like it's tough to place in certain things.
A lot of people don't own these instruments, and there's probably a reason why. Because you know your first instrument probably isn't going to be one of these innovative, groundbreaking, new things, right? You're going to go with the Strat or the Les Paul or the the more common, accessible. You don't need to do some weird niche thing really well.
No, but maybe some kid. When the music store is blowing out one of these innovative things in the 60s, maybe he got to start on the Bass 6 and became a real,
True.
real weirdo.
Let's on the subject of acoustic guitars, let's talk about Martin. Now, this is a company that's rooted in tradition, very much so.
Yeah.
That's been the most, up until probably a decade ago. You wanted a very traditional Martin. There wasn't a lot of things that they were doing that were really pushing innovation or trying to be a super modern guitar. I'm sure there's examples in the past, but the DNA of Martin is a legacy brand. We want the D18, the D28, the 35, the 42,
I would say that's pretty much still the fact, the fact for that brand. The interest is generally on the side of like the more historic and vintage built instruments, but that doesn't mean they haven't tried some stuff.
And I would say what's different now though is there's models that are innovative models that have become staples in their lineup. Yes, it's not the main thing that they're selling, it's not the main guitar, but there are models that have stayed in the lineup for a long enough period of time that it's not a flash in the pan idea where it's like, hey, we tried this and then we stopped doing it. The SC body shape is one of those. It's been around now for a few years.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is. It's kind of like an offset for those that haven't seen it. It's like an offset acoustic. It's got a kind of like a drip kind of thing happening.
And that's got their bolt-on neck. So kind of like the Taylor idea.
It does, but it's even more like adjustable. It's not like...
Yeah, well, it's what is it called? The Sureline neck system. So I think it's kind of like almost like that micro tilting system where you use I think it's an Allen key and you can adjust it. But yes, it is very tweakable in every direction, and you have to be kind of a knowledgeable technician to be able to work on these things because they are a bit more sophisticated, the design.
Yeah.
And unlike Taylor, where you can look up, Taylor NT neck and probably find out anything you've ever wanted to know about the NT neck. Some of the information about Martin's neck system is a bit more coveted.
Cloaked in secrecy.
Yeah, we're about to blow the lid off of this. But
how is the neck attached?
We don't even know.
We're digging deep.
No heel on this guitar.
Yes, that's an interesting thing.
Heel. So
how do you feel about that?
I always worry about a lack of a heel. I think of the big baby Taylor and with the screws between the fingerboard.
I feel traumatized with some no heel guitars like early Normans.
I forgot about
straight
that.
in, no heel.
Same kind of idea.
I feel like something's missing with no heel.
Feels like the heel is there to support you, kind of like a pair of shoes.
Yeah, it's
you take it off, you're barefoot now. You're walking in the desert.
You got no shoes.
No shoes.
No shoes, just feet flapping in the wind.
So the no heel, I mean, hey, if it's stable, it's stable. You can't argue with that.
Yeah. It just, I don't know, feels kind of wrong to me.
Now, Taylor just released the 24 and the 14. They are heelless guitars.
Like I said, I'm going to stick by my heels.
Yeah.
Personally, I like a heel.
We're traditionalists. We like heels on
we
acoustic.
like heels. I also like headstocks on guitars, but, you know.
We'll get there. Carbon fiber guitars. Let's talk a little bit about carbon fiber guitars and carbon fiber necks, because that was something, it was a new material being used. It's extremely durable. And this was a very innovative thing to see work into the industry.
Yeah, I remember when Modulus, that's particularly the basses, were like a big thing.
Right.
But they did guitars as well, and it was just a graphite neck.
Right.
And originally, when these things were coming out, they didn't put truss rods in them because the statement was that it was so stable that you wouldn't need to adjust it. But later on, they did. Turns out, just put truss rods in it because people wanted that.
Well, everything can move. I can understand the idea that maybe it's the idea. I think is it's not subject to humidity, right? Like the immediate changes of humidity up and down that would be as it's porous and it's absorbing and releasing humidity. But a material that's like almost plastic, where it's non-porous and it's a hard material, it's not going to be at the whims of humidity fluctuation. But surely the material ages over time, just like anything else does, and things move. And
and I mean, you know, this never really took off, right?
Yeah,
the whole graphite guitar, and then like the acoustic guitar stuff. There's it's a niche. There's certain niche clientele for it.
It's like the Rain Song guitars too.
I remember Jimmy Herring was playing Modulus guitars back in the 90s. And I think Jimmy Herring plays sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and you know, on the subject of carbon fiber and, you know, some of these graphite synthetic things, the Steinberger L series was the first carbon fiber guitar, and it was a headless guitar too, which is also another kind of disruptive thing that you don't see too often.
No, it's still disruptive.
Yeah.
It's different.
You don't see them everywhere, right? I think more popular in the 80s.
Well, I think some of that stuff's pretty popular now. The multi-scale stuff, like all, you know.
Your algorithm is feeding you something different than I am, I guess.
No, I've just, you know, you see them. What are those Strandberg?
Yeah.
Those guitars, see those out there. The Steinberger, the most appealing thing about that guitar to me was the trans trem,
right?
Which is like you could lock it like for different like positions, like so you could be detuning, you know, with the trem, and everything moved in pitch together. Very cool.
It is a really cool idea. And just to kind of segue into this next guitar, because as we're talking about trems and vibrato, the Powers electric guitars were somewhat reminiscent of some of the ideas that were seen in the trans trem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although achieved in a much simpler fashion. The trans trem is like, you know,
complex system.
Yeah. And the trans trem was extremely like accurate to the like different sort of thing.
Right.
The Powers is like pretty much there. You know what I mean? But it's
90%, I think, accurate, something like that.
Yeah. But that's really nice too. It's really cool how that thing moves in tune. Like, so what we're talking about is the bridge,
the camtail bridge.
The bridge is at different thicknesses, where for each string, and this thickness is measured.
The diameter of that wraparound post, I guess.
Yes,
call it,
the diameter is different, which is calculated to have the strings all be able to move in pitch with each other because the string's different length. It's not going to be the same distance for the same pitch. So, I mean, this is a lot easier to play than to talk about, but what it gives you is like bending chords in tune, or when you use it, it kind of sounds more like a slide, like a lap steel or something, than a traditional trem, which makes you play different. And that's a really cool thing. It's a real innovation thing, and having that option just makes for different music possible, and which is, I think, what is the goal of all of any innovative guitar. It's like, how can this change music? And that's really one that's very useful and musical.
We'd put this in the category of successful innovation.
Yes.
Because this is a guitar that's here to stay. I think they're going to expand on this platform. And this guitar is not only doing that, there are other appointments that they've added to this instrument that make it unique as well, like the asymmetrically radius fingerboard. That's something you don't really see. There's different curvature on the bass side and the treble side. So as opposed to being compound radius, you're having an asymmetrical fingerboard. So just different relief on each side, and that's really cool, and it's very comfortable.
Yeah,
and it addresses some issues that people may have going with one radius or another, right? So that's cool.
It's are they going to end up making it in Mexico?
Well, that's always...
Is that coming?
The threat is there.
The threat.
Well, we said, we'll wait for the day, and hopefully it never comes, but where you have the satin, porous, Sapele, made in Mexico, Powers Electric. I hope they don't go that direction.
Sapele body, Sapele neck, Sapele fingerboard.
It's very light.
Very light.
Still in the mahogany family.
No grain fill, so it looks like you're going to get a sliver.
Yeah. It's the black sheep of the mahogany family, right? You don't pick up the phone when the Sapele calls. The other thing they've done on that guitar too, the full Faraday pickups. So I don't think they were the first ones to do this, but they've definitely perfected the design. So creating essentially a Faraday cage, which keeps some of the noise out. They're single coil pickups. They have almost a high fidelity, beautiful, unique attack to them. This is an innovative design that, again, it doesn't sound like any other guitar. It's quite unique.
No. And they're the same with the partial Faraday ones they do, which I've become partial to myself, actually.
Fair.
At first I thought I preferred the full Faraday ones. I like them both.
They
they're really really musical again. Really great sounding pickups.
Okay, let's talk about another disruptive guitar. And we won't talk too quietly about it, but it is the Yamaha silent guitar.
We don't talk about it at all, actually.
I remember selling these at a former music store, and the appeal to these was you can take the wings off, You can take the wings off, and it's a kind of something easy to transport. You can plug headphones in.
You could defend yourself with the wings.
You could. Mind you, they're graphite or something. I don't know what material they're made of, but you'd want to use the main body, I think, as the weapon.
Okay.
But it's something you could travel through an airport with easily. Good travel guitar. Interesting, they did a nylon string version of the guitar. Kind of a unique guitar, and it still exists today, so people are playing them.
Sure.
It's interesting. A guitar that doesn't exist today, though, and we had one in used recently, the Les Paul recording model.
Yeah.
So at the end of his career, Les Paul was playing this guitar, and I think what he liked about it had low impedance pickups, onboard EQ. He really wanted a guitar that would work well in a studio setting. So this instrument did quite a few new things that hadn't been done before on a guitar. He definitely wanted a guitar that was articulate, really clear, really dynamic, and had a lot of flexibility if you're in the studio trying to get a sound. So phase switching, stereo output, kind of a unique instrument. It's cool. We played it briefly. I don't know that I got a great sense of it while I was here, but
no, I didn't really have a chance to plug it in.
Dive in, yeah. Anyway, very unique guitar for its time, but it didn't last.
No.
Let's talk a little bit about aluminum necks. So we talked about graphite necks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about aluminum necks.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. Travis Bean, 1974, came out with the TB1000, which was an aluminum neck guitar, and that had been played by, I think Jerry Garcia played one.
Oh, yeah.
It was probably one of
Yeah,
the most
definitely.
famous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, another neck that's probably not going to move too much, extremely stable.
But they can.
They still do
Still
move a
can
bit.
move.
But extremely heavy.
Mm.
And it's a sound. Like, when I think of this guitar, I think of, like, you know, Buzzo from the Melvins, like this kind of like Heart Attack, maybe good for higher gain stuff. But
Heart Attack?
Heart Attack, yeah, no pun intended.
Oh,
but
Heart Attack. Okay.
Hard,
I was thinking
Heart
Heart
Attack,
Attack.
yeah.
Heart Attack. It's like, wow, that's
Yeah.
quite a feeling to get
Yeah.
from a guitar. Yeah, but,
you would have a heart attack if you kept it on too long.
yeah, if you had to like walk up a hill with it on.
Yeah. You're not gigging that. You want the Yamaha thing on your backpack or whatever, right? Now, today, electrical guitar company still makes those.
Yeah.
Like kind of a variation on that, but aluminum neck, aluminum body. We even saw one recently that's lucite body.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
we
they
still
do
have in
that.
stock,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've had a couple of those, but it's a it's a thing.
Mhm.
I'm not. I mean, was the idea to be able to make like a super thin neck? I think that maybe was a
Yes,
motivation,
I think so.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Stable, thin neck.
yeah, I like it's almost like you're holding a fingerboard kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's that small, so that's a thing, you know, whether or not that works for you. I think that's what they were probably chasing. So stable that we can
Right.
make it super thin.
Yeah, even thinner than some of those Ibanez necks.
Oh
Very,
yeah,
very
no, it's a
paper
lot
thin,
thinner. Yeah.
There's also been a lot of innovations in electronics. So one of the guitars I think of is that Roland G300 with the controller. So basically a synth guitar. I think this may be the first
Yeah.
kind of commercially successful synth guitar.
I can hear it in my head, and
Yeah.
I can.
The synth pedal.
Well, no,
Yeah.
no, that
Okay.
Roland
Yeah.
guitar and the module. I
Mhm.
always think of Pat Metheny because he played that, and there's this song called "Are You Going With Me,"
Mhm.
which is like this beautiful crescendo, 8-minute kind of
Okay.
solo kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful played on that.
Yeah.
And it's so expressive, and it sounds so different.
Yeah.
It's very very good sound. Very,
Now, do you think that something like this stands the test of time? When you go back and listen to this, does it sound like an antiquated sound, or do you think it worked for the time and for the music, and it
No.
still has a validity to it?
I think that particular sound that he's getting from
Yeah.
this guitar is totally valid. I think what loses when you start to lose what's valid is like when you end up on the pan flute preset. You're on the pan flute
That's
preset.
where you start, isn't it?
But that doesn't interest me personally.
Right,
It might
right.
interest a lot of people. Like you want to play timbali on the guitar or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. The
Studios.
drummer's fired,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be playing percussive
I got your
stuff.
bass here. I
That's
got your
right.
snare here. Anyway, but no, the original and the sounds, and especially that what Pat Metheny got out of it. I mean, it is Pat Metheny, but that is amazing, and that's a great sound.
And this is using MIDI, so pretty innovative. Now let's go down the road a little bit to further innovations in the world of electronics and guitars.
Yeah, I mean the whole synth thing is kind of like there's. Now, I mean, the guitar is just a controller, right?
Right.
You could do whatever you want, but
Sure.
I feel like strongly, I'll say it again, there's a pan flute trap hole. You fall in it, you're playing the pan flute all day, and that's it.
There's a time and a place for that, I think.
There is, but it's not for me.
No, that's fair. We've talked about this guitar in the past, but let's just touch on it again. The
Yeah.
Line 6 Variax with James Tyler. I have a James, like when someone says, I've got a collection of PRS, but it's all, SE guitars, or they'll say, I've got a ton of Strats, but it's just a wall of Squires. Which, hey, nothing against that. You got what you got. But it's kind of sometimes people say, I've got a really nice James Tyler guitar, but it's a Line 6 Variax guitar. And it's kind of a different thing than what James Tyler is doing.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Oceans apart, one would say.
Oceans. Yeah. The anyway, with any of those guitars, that's kind of really dated, right? Like if you check it out now, you're gonna be like, what? You know,
tracking.
But, like just like you going to like a preset tuning or something. You're gonna be like resophonic acoustic. Like you're gonna hear that now, and you'd be like, this is not acceptable. But like a lot of this stuff, when it's like cutting edge, it's like it's really good at the time, and it just becomes kind of chintzy, you know, as time passes and new technology comes out.
The tonality of it can be dated, or you know, technology can just be dated. Now, guitar I never got to play. I don't know if you ever tried one. The Moog guitar, 2008.
I did try one.
What were your thoughts on it?
My thoughts were, can we just get the electronics?
Yeah.
Please?
Was it all analog?
It's all analog. Yeah. And what it was basically like controlling the magnetic field of the strength of the magnetic field. So you could make it sustain forever.
Right.
You know, just go in a sustain loop, which was really neat. You could do like volume swells and that type of thing, but you could also take all the sustain out without muting the guitar.
Like instant decay is what you're saying?
Yeah, instant decay. So it would be like
staccato-y kind of
staccato-y, yeah. I thought like the whole thing was kind of awesome. I think the guitars were like, they're pricey. It might have been like 10 grand in like 2008, like when money was worth something.
Yeah.
Like it was a quite expensive, and the guitar wasn't like spectacular. You'd love to just take those electronics,
put them in something else,
put them in the guitar you love, like that. That would have been, I think, the way to go. And I don't think they ever made that available.
No, and the guitar is long gone.
Well, the guitar is long gone. Moog's long gone. With Moog, is there anything being made with their name on it?
I think so. I think there's still products being produced with Moog. Yeah. Not the guitar world, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's not Moog anymore, right?
Someone bought it, yeah.
And I think they closed the Asheville factory.
Right.
And so I mean, I think. I'm not totally up on that.
Yeah, we're not totally up on the Moog, the world of Moog, but
it's not what it once was. And guitar pedals, that doesn't even exist for them anymore. Yeah. If you've got any of that stuff, hang on to it.
Please reach out to us. Yeah.
Please. I want all your Moog stuff.
Nonetheless, innovative guitar, interesting guitar, and like you said, it's too bad that they didn't offer those electronics as an aftermarket option, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about one more guitar. I saved this to the end because
this is the most innovative.
It was disruptive, and one of the most disruptive guitars of all time.
Would you say it disrupted sales?
It disrupted sales. It disrupted the industry. You know, it disrupted the landscape. I don't think many people look back on these instruments fondly.
Someone tried to bring one in for consignment the other day.
Yeah, it was a hard no.
It was a hard
because we don't want the future problems that guitar is going to bring.
You think?
And that guitar, you know, no surprise, Gibson robot guitars. They tried to do something that no one wanted. I know, that sounds in my nightmares. They tried to do something that no one wanted, and it was kind of interesting. It was innovative, but it was temperamental. It was still very mechanical. It was a very mechanical system, and there was issues with it. And then, you know, as that model progressed, was it 2015? With the wide brass nuts and all that stuff. I mean, they just lost the ethos of what Gibson was and what people wanted. So.
Sure. That's like a guitar that was invented by someone that doesn't play guitar, right?
Yeah.
But like if we explore it like a little bit, what I always wanted to be able to do with that guitar was have the tuners move while there was output to the pickups.
That could have been cool.
You could like program some sort of like,
do that.
No, it doesn't do that, but like some sort of pitch changes on, if you could like preset these 3 strings are going to change tuning, and they have the tuning happen, the progression between 2 tunings be able to
that would have been cool.
Be heard at the time, and you could use it as like a performance kind of altered performance, make new instrument. That's a kind of a cool idea, but no.
Now, do you think that could have saved this guitar?
I could have been really interested in it, depending on what it was. Like if you just had like one of the strings that was constantly like going up and going down or something, creating like a drone behind
Foot
something
switch
else.
controllable.
Like,
That
sure,
could be cool.
could be really cool.
That's kind of like what the Line 6 Variax was doing in an analog way. And that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's physically
Physically doing it, yeah.
But they were loud. It was a loud mechanism, so that's maybe part of the issue. And I don't think you kind of like you had to stop and do whatever you had to do with the
and
guitars.
it muted the output.
Yeah, it wasn't like hey, here's some on-the-fly adjustment, right?
No one was thinking about like this could be a cool performance-altering, instrument.
Yeah.
They were thinking, wouldn't it be cool if the guitar tuned itself?
Right. And thankfully, Gibson has corrected course, probably one of the biggest corrections in modern history for a company, I would say. They went back to doing what was successful about Gibson. So, from let's say 2008 until 2015, kind of a dark period for some of the Gibson stuff.
Sure.
And then they've corrected course, and I'd like to think that now they're in a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.